From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. And we have a ton to get into, but just want to, for the record, this outfit coordination is not by design.
Who does your color coordination anyway? Boy, that's scary for me now.
And I got some Twins colors going.
I could not believe when you walked into the studio and you were wearing red and blue. I said, "Oh boy, here we go."
Well, it is July.
Well, that's
same
true.
month we have the 4th of July.
We're the only. Well, there's the white. So
we're patriotic.
Very patriotic. Yes, I know.
I mean, if you watch Monday Night Football back in the day, Howard and Don and Frank all had those kind of mustard yellow blazers.
They all wore the same thing. Yeah, unbelievable. Oh well. Great minds think alike. Let's go with that.
Yeah. If you say so.
Although great minds don't necessarily look alike.
I can see viewers shaking their heads out there in television land.
What's left of them now.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's start out with the Twins since it is, we're at the midpoint of the season, or the theoretical midpoint. We passed the halfway point, obviously.
We're into the 90s.
Yeah, we are into the number of games is into the 90s. But your Twins head into this second half, I think, with some renewed hope of being an all-star, being a playoff team, a wild card team. I think that the hopes to win the division are out the door, that's for sure. But I think that they still have a decent chance, especially the way they played down the stretch. They took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. They took 2 out of 3 from Tampa. And then they took 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh. So they won 6 of their last 9 games. Now, you could make the argument that they got bombed in that last game against the Cubs, and they should have won all 3 against the Pirates. But let's take it for what it's worth. The 6 out of 9 is pretty good, considering that they had stumbled not too long before that.
When you're in the boat the Twins are in right now, and that's a boat that had been taking on water.
Yes,
you have to chip away, and you don't automatically say we're going to rip off 13 wins in a row, which they did earlier.
Right.
But they enter the post-All-Star break sub 500 going into Denver this weekend against the lowly Colorado Rockies.
Now, they should win some games there.
So, again, try to win each series.
Right.
Obviously, you want to win them all. That's not going to happen. But if you chip away, then you can make a dent. They're on what I call the fringe of the wild card race. I wouldn't even say they're a serious wild card contender now, but that could change in a week or two because there's a scrum of teams battling for the final wild card spot or maybe even the second wild card spot. So the Twins clearly have a chance. Colorado's a great launching pad, right? I mean, literally, the Rockies are horrible. If you don't win this series, then the red flags got to start waving because you go to Los Angeles to play the World Series champion Dodgers. And I can tell you this, on Monday night in L.A., the Dodgers are going to get fitted and wear those World Series rings. They're giving them out. That's going to be what the Twins are going to have to watch.
What were they waiting for? Why are the Dodgers doing this in July?
I don't know.
Don't they do that in April? What in the world? What's with your people?
It's just another.
Is this like showing up late to Lakers games and showing up in the middle of the 4th inning for a Dodgers game? They decide to do the rings in July.
It's another thing to promote and keep people waiting. Okay. Because I was out there a couple of weeks ago, and that's what I noticed. Hey, the Twins come to town, and we're going to get our World Series rings.
Oh, okay. So in other words, in order to get people to go to watch the Twins,
there he goes. Yeah. Well,
they're not a great road draw. Let's face it.
They are not.
No.
I mean, you got Byron Buxton, you got Joe Ryan, and then it's a lot of guys that most people don't know about. Except, here's the reason they'll go in L.A., Carlos Correa. Because when I went out there and saw Houston,
they're going to
Jose Altuve, every time he came up, got loudly booed. There were chants of cheater, cheater, cheater. Now, Altuve tore up the Dodgers that weekend. The Astros swept them at Dodger Stadium. But Correa was on that World Series team that Houston beat the Dodgers when they cheated. And so they'll do the same thing to Carlos Correa because he only goes to Dodger Stadium once every 2 years. But so that's another name guy. I guess Royce Lewis is from SoCal. But yeah, you gotta enhance people into the ballpark if you're playing the Twins. I do think though this weekend, the Colorado Rockies, as bad as they are, draw good. They actually
do they outdraw the Twins?
They do. And I guess when they played the White Sox a couple weeks ago, they had huge crowds over the July 4th weekend. There's enough Minnesota people that either want to go to the mountains or they've relocated to Colorado that'll show up at Coors Field, and there might be some that bounce out to the West Coast.
Well, that's a fun place to watch a game, I would assume. Have you been there?
I have.
Field? Of course you have.
It is a fun place. I would say this, if you're a Twins fan and you're looking to travel, go watch the games in Colorado and then go out and watch the Dodgers. Dodger Stadium will not sell out for those 3 games. Too much inventory. They got 55,000 seats. You'll get in.
Well, you're going to bounce from Denver to L.A.? You're telling people to do that? You must have a lot of expendable income, or you're spending other people's money
I'm
as
good
usual.
At that.
Yes, I know you are. What about Byron Buxton's money? I love what he said at the All-Star game after, I don't know if it was after or before the home run hitting contest, which he made it into the second round semifinals and eventually lost. But he hit 20 bombs in the first one. But I love what he said about, they asked him about, potentially being traded mid-season here before the deadline, which comes up here, oh, by the way, the end of the month. And he said, well, they can't trade me. I've got a no-trade clause, and I'm a Minnesota Twin for the rest of my life. He said, I want to walk into that clubhouse, and every time I look up, I want to see Minnesota Twins. This is where I live. I'm all on board with Byron.
No, I think it's great, especially if you're a passionate fan out here in Twins territory that, doesn't want to see another superstar be dealt away or walk away via free agency. And I know that story got some play here in the Twin Cities, but I believe it was initiated by somebody from the New York Post because the Mets, who have deep pockets and they don't care about signing guys to big, huge contracts or picking up somebody else's deal, they need a center fielder. And that's where it came up. And he said, no, I want to stay with the Minnesota Twins. So I applaud Buxton for being loyal to a team that's been loyal to him, sticking through all the injuries and the ups and downs of being Byron Buxton. But on the flip side, boy, imagine how much better life would be, Byron, if you played with the Mets and you had Polar Bear Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and Juan Soto in that lineup. Yeah. They'd pitch to you.
Yeah, they would definitely be pitching to Byron Buxton, and they would pay the price, I think. I think that Byron's numbers would be off the charts. You think they're good now? But then there's the pressure of New York City, and that changes. That's a different recipe.
And I think the other thing I want to make sure that I point out, it's great he wants to retire as a Twin. Joe Mauer did that, but Joe Mauer's from St. Paul. I think we knew Joe didn't want to go anywhere else. Remember the rumblings he might be dealt to Boston? Never happened. He didn't want to leave Minnesota. Buxton's a Georgia guy, but apparently he loves Minnesota. He's got the family up here, the wife, the kids, and he wants to be known as a Twin.
Well, good for him, and that's good for Minnesota. All right, what's also good for Minnesota is the golf, and we got a lot of that coming up.
Yeah, we'll check in with the 3M Open Tournament Director, Mike Welch, here on 10K Takes, your Byron Buxton ticket.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
What's up, buddy? Left-hand side. Hey! I've seen some tough lies before. Batia. Look at the shot. Look at the shot. Yes! Kucher! Straight up in the air. The reaction. Get out of here, Sally. How sweet it is. There it is. The drought is over. I'm gonna fuck
And we are Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes. And boy, I tell you, this time of year you get the extreme heat and you get the 3M Open Championship. Golf comes to Minnesota at its highest level. And we are joined now by Mike Welch. He is the tournament director for the 3M Open. And Mike, it is that time of year. I know this is down the stretch time for you. For fans wondering what's going on out at the 3M this year, give me a brief synopsis of anything new as far as outside activities, events.
Yeah, hey, Wally, Eric, good to see you guys. I mean, we're trying to be additive to our tournament every year, and I think this year is no different. I think a couple things just right off the bat. Number one, we're really trying to answer what a family can do, right? Family activities are so big in the summer, but I would say that the cost of what families have to spend is rising. So for us, Kids 15 and under are free, courtesy of Cub. And so on Sunday, July 27th, we're going to have Family Day. We're going to have a bunch of team mascots. We're going to have Blippi and Mika, if you're familiar with them. If you got younger kids or if you got grandkids, they're like these YouTube sensations, 23 million followers on YouTube. They do a bunch of really cool things. They're coming to the 3M Open, so we're selling a meet and greet package there. We're going to have daily specials on food and beverage, really give you an opportunity on Championship Sunday. Come hang out in Fan Village in Northwoods, see some mascots, see Blippi and Mika, and have something that's really cool for the family. So that's one. And then two, I would just say, we're really forward thinking around what we're doing with our food and beverage platform. I think gone are the days where you're just expecting to get a hot dog when you come to a sporting event. So this year we're partnering with My Burger. You can go to any My Burger during the month of July and get the Greenskeeper burger, and then that burger is going to be served at the 3M Open. You guys, it is unbelievable. So that's going to be here. We got Red Savoy Pizza. They're doing some new flavors and styles. So again, just trying to level up the food and beverage platform so that when you come to the 3M Open, it's not just about golf, it's about what the total experience is.
And Mike, I know a couple of weeks ago at the media day, you were harping on the northern swing, which is something we see in Florida or California. They have the Florida swing, the California swing. It's part of the PGA Tour. Break that down. What exactly is the northern swing?
Yeah. Again, Minnesotans, we love to own stuff. So, as you guys know, our date is right after the British Open, which makes it tough from a scheduling perspective. We're in the middle of the summer, which there's 12 sacred weekends in the month of Minnesota, and we happen to fall on one of those. So it's really easy to skip over our tournament unless you're really intentional. And so, we're the northernmost tournament on the PGA Tour. The RBC Canadian Open is further south than us. We're the upper Midwest only PGA Tour tournament, so we leaned into that. And in fact, you're going to see some videos here in the next few days where we went up to the northernmost point in Minnesota, chopped down a tree, and created a golf club at the PGA Superstore with that. Again, we're have some really cool content around just north. So I think more than anything, guys, it's what are you making your own? And for us, it'll always be about golf that matters, because at the end of the day, we give back $1 million to charity. But for somebody that, wants to be feeling something Minnesotan, we're going to lean into the northern swing. And so this is the first year of it. I will tell you, it's taken on a little bit, which is great. I think some of the folks are enjoying it, and we're just going to keep going with it.
All right, let's talk some golf now. The players who are coming, some names that folks might recognize. I know Wyndham Clark's among them. I'm going to say this in all jest. Are you going to have the locker room kind of locked down when Wyndham comes in, because he's been known to throw things around if things don't go his way? But seriously, what are some of the who are some of the names that folks might recognize?
Yeah, we are so excited about this field. It is by far our deepest field in our 7 years. This will be our 7th year at the 3M Open. As it stands today, then we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for the field to finalize. We have 55 of the top 110 golfers in the official world golf ranking. That is by far the deepest field we've ever had. And as you guys know, not all 110 of those golfers are eligible to play our tour, whether they're on LIV, whether they're at the DP World Tour, and obviously don't play our tour. So we're just so excited about what the depth of our field is. You mentioned Wyndham Clark. We have Sam Burns. We have Sahith Theegala. We have Tony Finau, former champion. Just the last 2 days, Sung Jae Im and Siwoo Kim, Ben An, they've all committed. You got, I would say young and up-and-comers like Max Grazerman, Chris Gotterup, who won last week, and we gave a sponsor exemption to, 3 years ago. Akshay Bhatia, Tom Kim. If you're a fan of Full Swing on Netflix, we got all of those folks that have played on Full Swing. If you love the core golf fan where you want somebody in the top 50, we got 13 of those. And so I just think, we have something for everyone when it comes to the player. We got Joel Damon coming back, as obviously he made some news today. I don't know if you guys saw, but him and Gino decided to part ways from a caddy-player relationship. But Joel Damon is somebody that we have a lot of fans coming and to come see. And so, again, whether you're a lovable golfer or you're one of the top, 30 in the world, we're going to have that person at the 3M Open.
Mike, I think it was like 3 years ago in the Northwest Burbs, I looked up into the sky where I live, and there's the Goodyear blimp hovering over Hennepin County into Anoka County, and then, going toward the 3M Open in Blaine. But I've noticed the last couple of years, no blimp. Are drones now replacing blimps? Because obviously those things, you can't miss them.
You're exactly right. That's what it is, Eric. I mean, I don't think it shows anything about the level of, the status of the tournament. It really is drones. And if you see and watch the broadcast, and you guys probably are, that the ratings have been unbelievable this year for the PGA Tour. They're just completely off the charts, and we expect that to happen for us on Sunday. It's really come down to different ways to just broadcast the tournament, and it really is around drones. Obviously, a lot less expensive. I'm not really sure. Is it helium that operates that? I'm not really sure what operates the blimp, but a lot less expensive to just fly that drone, and that's really what it comes down to. What I will say is, we're excited that we got Jim Nantz coming out. So anytime the number one guy in the broadcast team is out, that it's a tournament that's looked favorably upon by CBS. I'll be surprised to see the blimp in the air this year, but I'm not ruling it out just yet.
I know that the competition itself goes Thursday through Sunday. Fill folks in on what's happening Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, in case they want to come out and they don't necessarily have an opportunity to come Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah, when Thursday comes, Wally, we catch our breath because that's when the competition starts, and we turn it over to the PGA Tour. Monday is, of course, closed to the public, but it's when we have our secondary pro-am. And then Tuesday, we open up right away, 6:30 in the morning. Practice rounds start that early. Best seat in the house is to go to one of the autograph zones if you're a kid early in the morning. But we'll have golf for all day on Tuesday. We'll have our first tee clinic. The golf for all day, of course, is where 500 kiddos from Twin Cities come up and experience golf for the very first time. And we'll have, Kyle Rudolph and a number of we've got Wally Zerbiak coming back this year to be a part of that, Melvin Gordon, a number of athletes that spend time with those kids from 1 to 4 and a lot of our partner activations. Wednesday, of course, is our championship pro-am. I talked a little bit off air around some of the names that are coming to that. Mike Conley, Randall McDaniel, a number of great former athletes here and current athletes in the market. So, there's a ton of stuff to do on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tickets are $25. It's the best time to be up front with one of our 6 miles of front row seats because the players engage a lot more during their practice round on Tuesday and certainly during the pro-am on Wednesday. Coming from, the world of professional sports and basketball, there's nothing like coming to a golf tournament. I mean, you literally have a conversation with a PGA Tour golfer for as long as they'll have you. 5, 6, 7 minutes in between shots. It's a ton of fun. Tuesday and Wednesday are certainly hidden gems to come out to the 3M Open, watch some really good practice golf, and engage with some of these players.
Yeah, I remember last year being there, and there's Larry Jr., there's John Randall, there's Randall McDaniel, and then there's Governor Walz about a week before he became a vice presidential candidate. So you don't know what you're going to see at that pro-am. Tell us what you've learned in the 7 years. I mean, you go back to 3M Open number 1 to where we are now. What have you picked up on running a PGA event?
I certainly think that if you churn the same thing out every year, you're going to fall behind. This marketplace is so competitive, as you guys know. You probably have a full schedule to talk about tonight from a sports perspective. In the summer, especially, and I don't have to list everything that's happening in the summer, but then you have the state fair, you have cabins, you have an incredible festival and art scene here. Like, it is so competitive. So for us, we simply can't churn out the same thing every year. So when you ask me, like, what's new, of course, we're talking about what is new to the 3M Open. I'll also say that we've learned operationally how we can be more efficient. How do we do the same and just be more efficient with it? And I think that is a big thing. As a nonprofit, our goal is to have the revenues of our tournament equal the expenses, and then we give $1 million to charity. And that's kind of how we operate each and every year. As you guys know, with costs rising crazy and tariffs and interest rates and all of that stuff, the only way we can match that is by increasing revenues. And so we got to have new ticket programs. We got to have new sponsor programs. And we're certainly doing that each and every year. So like any live event, it's hard. It's rewarding. It's a lot of fun. We're already running on fumes, and we're only 2 days in advance week, but it's a ton of fun. It brings $50 million of economic impact to this region. It brings over $1 million, as I mentioned, to charity. It does so many great things for the community, and we're so honored to put it on each and every year.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you spending some time with us. The actual gameplay, if you will, the tournament begins on the 24th, and it should be another interesting year out at the 3M. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Look forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
He is Mike Welch. He is the tournament director for the 3M Open, which starts not too long from now. Back with more here on 10,000 Takes after this timeout, and we'll be talking some more Lynx, a different kind. Stay with us.
What's up, buddy? Left-hand side. Hey! I've seen some tough lies before. Batia. With a shot. Look at the shot. Yes! Kuchar! Straight up in the air. The reaction. Get out of here, Sally. How sweet it is. There it is. The drought is over.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. Maya? Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Welcome back. Minnesota scores 10,000 takes, and I want to hear your take on the Minnesota Lynx because they, as we head into the All-Star break, All-Star game this coming weekend in Indianapolis, the home of Caitlin Clark and the Fever of Indiana. I'd like to hear your take on the Lynx so far. Best record in the WNBA, and Nafisha Collier has been banged up a little bit, but arguably right now, MVP of the league. I think you can make that argument.
Clearly, she's in the running. And I think the Minnesota Lynx they still fly under the radar nationally.
True.
I don't sense a lot of love when I read USA Today or the New York Post, or, it's all about Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and Angel Reese. And fair enough, the WNBA certainly has been trending up. They have some names, right? They have some rivalries built in. But I think the Lynx thrive on this, that nobody really truly loves us outside of the Twin Cities, state of Minnesota. So this could be their fuel toward making another championship run and winning a 5th title.
Do you think that this is a page out of the old NBA book that the WNBA right now using name recognition with Caitlin Clark and certainly Paige Beckers coming off the national championship with UConn and so on and so forth, Angel Reese, all that? I mean, the NBA's done it forever, with Bird and Magic and Jordan and LeBron, and you can go right down the list. They were promoting individual players as opposed to the league.
I absolutely do. And I don't necessarily think it's the wrong road to go down for the WNBA.
For now.
Yeah, eventually it's got to be about the teams. But, I can't tell you how much Angel Reese has talked about. RG3 said something about her, and Shaq took offense to it because he and Angel Reese went to LSU, and Shaq threatened to punch RG3 in the face if he doesn't stop doing it. Now, if Shaq says that to anybody, you might want to listen. But my point is, it's recognition, maybe not for the right ways, but you know what? You got to have it, right? Any publicity is good publicity, and they're getting some great crowds. The Golden State Valkyries, the expansion team in San Francisco, they're selling it out every night.
Yeah.
In the Warriors Arena.
I agree. Okay, real quick, you had a mention on Minnesota United. They're, second place right now? That's not bad at this point of the season.
Yeah, they have LAFC in St. Paul Saturday night. They're a couple points behind San Diego FC, so they have the real football now in San Diego. Who needs the Chargers? They moved up by 5 to Los Angeles. But this expansion, San Diego team's on top. Minnesota's trying to catch them, and who knows? Maybe the Loons will bring us a parade.
Okay, I won't hold my breath on that. I saw the Aurora go down again in the semifinals. So.
Well, yeah, Minnesota United's twice been to the Final Four, but never gotten to the MLS Cup title game. So that's kind of the Minnesota way, right?
Yes. All right. In the next minute and a half, I want you to give me your take on the Gophers now signing P.J. Fleck to an extension through, I think, 2030, if I'm not mistaken. Give him a little bit more dough. He's still kind of middle of the pack as far as getting paid in the Big Ten. But do the expectations now, are they much higher because PJ has more money in his pocket. Is this the way we're headed now?
I think they should be. I mean, because now with NIL, Minnesota can pay players just like any other school.
Just like Alabama and Ohio State have been doing
now
forever.
it's all fair game. PJ's 6-0 in bowl games, but really only one of those bowls was what I would call a marquee bowl game. That was the Outback Bowl in Tampa,
real bowl game.
when they knocked off Auburn on New Year's Day a few years ago. Look, he's done a good job. Let's get it up to great. Okay? PJ would probably look us in the eye and say, that's what I expect. You had a lot of good things last season, the SoCal sweep of USC and UCLA and some other good wins, but then you lose at Rutgers. So don't have any of these silly losses to teams you should not lose to. They can derail a season.
Please don't lose to another Bowling Green. I can't visit my relatives in Ohio when you do that. It's just terrible. All right. Our favorite time of the day, takes of the day, coming up next. This is 10,000.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10K takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. Big shout out to the viewers right here in the Twin Cities and, of course, up I-35 in the Twin Ports. That would be Duluth and Superior. And they're going to find out what your mood is.
Yes.
Are you angry American, cranky Yankee? Maybe you're a happy camper. What is it today?
Well, this time of year, it's just about time for all the purple sheep to start gathering and heading out to Eagan, Minnesota. And, well, I tell you, it's nothing like it used to be. Down in Mankato, you just showed up at practice, waited outside of the fences for the players to come by, get their autographs as they walk on by. And, of course, you just park in the streets or whatever, and didn't cost you anything. It was a joyful time to be a Minnesota Vikings fan when they trained in Mankato. Not anymore, of course. Now it's in Eagan at the TCO Performance Center where the Vikings have their year-round facility. And if you want to go to practice, and I'm talking about practice in the words of Allen Iverson, $10 to get in if you're an adult, $5 for 17 and under, and they let the little tiny kids in for free. By the way, if you want to watch the night practice, which is kind of a semi-scrimmage, that's $15 for adults and $10 for kids 17 and under. And by the way, you might want to buy your parking ahead of time. $10 online ahead of time, $20 if you show up at the gate and you haven't done so yet. So be prepared to get your wallet out, pay for autographs, pay for this, pay for that, to go watch your purple practice. And we're talking about practice.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Who does this anymore?
Hey, Purple Nation, get out your green. Let's see what that mood meter says. Yeah, well, how fitting. Red, the color theme today, and you are in the red. The Angry American has spoken.
The color theme of our shirts.
All right, well.
That's your fault, by the way.
My take of the day, I'm going to talk about something that I really found repulsive. Jay Cutler, former NFL quarterback, primarily with the Denver Broncos and the Chicago Bears, who at times could look like Brett Favre, and other times he didn't look so good. But he went on a safari in Africa recently, and he bagged this animal behind me. It's called a sable. I guess there aren't many of them. And this really wasn't in an area where you were supposed to hunt. And he feels good about it. I think it's, quite honestly, I find it disgusting. He's gotten a ton of blowback in cyberspace. And here's what I say. How selfish of you to bring down this incredible-looking creature when some of us might want to go there and see it with our own eyes, snap a photo, and then leave and let somebody else take our place and view a sable in Africa. I think it's incredibly selfish. It's wrong. Jay Cutler, big whiff on this one.
Well, that's one pass that he completed.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a shot, and I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of these canned hunts and these safaris that, we had the dentist in Bloomington bring down the lion recently.
The Jimmy Johns guy.
Yeah, your guy Jimmy Johns. And there's nothing manly about it in my eyes. All right. We got to FedEx out those thank yous. One goes to David Weld, Paul Langfellow, Mike Welch. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. We are 10K Takes, your sports ticket.